Right, now, it wouldn't be Christmas unless we caught up with Britain's favourite married couple, Christine and Neil Hamilton, who join me now. Evening, guys. Have you got a tipple with you?
That is the most ridiculous introduction I've ever had. Yes, of course we've got a tipple with us. We have the family here.
What are you drinking?
Whatever. They arrived on Mass Day.
I got the intravenous drip in as well.
Good stuff. Well, look, first up, we're going to talk about the story that puts the cherry on the top of the ridiculous farce that's the asylum system. So it's emerged that some migrants have tried to pop home for Christmas despite trying to claim asylum in Britain. Take a look at this clip from the chief of the border force. Oh, that's the wrong clip. Give us 2 seconds. We've got some Christmas.
Anyone today?
I don't know if we found anyone today, but we do find a lot of people who, for example, have claimed asylum in this country and are heading back to their home country for holidays, which obviously isn't allowed. And we also pick up a lot of other criminality and immigration offences.
Neil, I thought it was Christmas, not April Fool's Day. Is this proof that we're just a complete soft touch when it comes to protecting our borders?
Well, we're taken for a ride, aren't we, by millions of these people. We have a completely useless government that has shown zero interest in controlling immigration, legal or illegal, in the last 13 years. In fact, things have got worse, far, far worse, in the last 13 years than they were in 2010. And last year's figure of nearly 750,000 people net added to our population. 1.3 million visas granted by this Conservative government last year. 1.3 million. They've got no interest whatsoever in controlling our borders, and they've only been panicked into taking the half-cocked measures that were announced in the last 3 weeks. And yesterday or today, Rishi Sunak is even reneging on that by not raising the income level that people are going to have to earn in order to qualify for a visa. He's reduced that back again. So, it's a complete waste of time, I think. And I think that, I'm all for these people going abroad on holidays. We've got all these spare tickets going for Rwanda. I mean, why don't they take those up and have free holidays?
Christine, will Rishi's premiership be saved from the jaws of defeat if he manages to get a Rwanda flight off the ground, do you think?
No, Rishi's premiership is far, far more rocky than that. My view is that he will go right to the wire. We'll probably have an election in December next year because he'll want to milk it for as long as he can. So what worries me on immigration is we have completely failed to get a grip of it in this country. And these last, it's farcical, isn't it? It's Monty Python. Oh, I want to go home for the holidays. I'm sorry. I thought you were here. But anyway, but 1 in 30 people in the world are migrants. And there are 280 million international migrants, which is 3.6% of the global population. Now, this is a monumental number of people who are on the move. This is going to get worse. In 2020, there were 128 million more than there were in 1990. And there were 3 times more in 1990 than there were in 1970. So this mass movement of people, and they're all going from the poorer countries to the rich countries, is just getting worse and worse. And if we fail to get a grip on it now, when frankly it's relatively easy, we are finished. European Court of Human Rights, here we come out.
Yeah, it's all very well Sunak saying he'll do whatever it takes to stop the boats. But the one thing which would stop the boats getting out of the European Convention on Human Rights and the UN Refugee Convention, he won't even contemplate doing. So, this is all spin and nonsense.
Go on, Christine.
If I hear Rishi Sunak or indeed any other senior government minister say, I will do whatever it takes, I shall scream, because they don't. There are obvious things screaming them in the face and they don't do it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Rwanda charade is a bit of a red herring, really, because as you said, Neil, when they're legally allowing 700,000 people in each and every year, a city the size of Birmingham every 2 years, it's kind of like, you know, tens of thousands a year on small boats. Yes, they're undocumented. Yes, we don't know who they are. But in terms of the bigger picture and the future of the country, 700k a year under their watch, it leaves you a bit exacerbated. But let's just move on quickly to the scenes from central London today, if you will. Pro-Palestine marchers brought Oxford Street to a standstill as shoppers tried to get some last-minute gifts under wraps in what's tipped to be, or what was tipped to be, the biggest shopping day of the year, known as Super Saturday. Neil, why do these people hate our way of life?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Because fundamentally, these people have nothing in common with Britain. And I don't know what they're doing in this country to start with, if they think that, you know, our Western civilization is so defective. And why do we allow our streets to be taken over on a regular basis by this mob of apologists for genocide? Because that's what they are. You know, Hamas are genocidal lunatics who have made the Gaza Strip into an armed camp, and they turn even drain pipes into rocket launchers. You know, there is absolutely nothing whatever that you can say to extenuate the murder and mayhem which Hamas...
Genocidal too. Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry?
I said the Palestinians would accuse Israel of being genocidal too. Just playing devil's advocate.
Well, Israel is defending its right to exist. You know, it was Hamas who attacked Israel on October the 7th, and they're taking out the terrorist infrastructure in Gaza. It's a war, and innocent civilians get trapped and get killed and maimed in war. Israel is not deliberately targeting the civilian population of Gaza. Of course, war is horrible, but what's the answer? The answer is, if you leave Hamas in place, they'll just repeat what's happened in the past.
Yeah,
they're completely unrepentant about October the 7th.
Hamas no doubt needs to be destroyed. Christine, just going back to these protests today in London, apparently the Met approved it. They knew this was happening. They allowed it to happen. What's the thinking behind that? On the busiest shopping day of the year, have they made a massive blunder here, the Met? And also, why didn't they drag them... Sorry, go on.
I'm not saying they made a massive blunder, but, I mean, the Met are... One problem with the Met is that they lack experience. And I think I've got this right, that 1/3 of people in the Met, 1/3 of Metropolitan Police officers have less than 4 years experience. So the older policemen aren't there. The younger ones are there. They can't cope. What can one policeman do in the face of a huge, great mob? That, you know, it is difficult. I have some sympathy for the Met, but they should never have allowed them to start marching in the first place. They should never have allowed them to get to Oxford Street. We should keep the police and the marchers need to be kept apart. Once they are together, there is precious little the police can do. But, you know, just to go back to the whole Palestine...
briefly, if you can.
Very briefly, there's a quote from Golda Meir where she says, if the Arabs put down their arms, there will be no fighting. If Israel puts down her arms, there will be no Israel. That is what they're fighting for.
Yeah, the growing consensus is from Joe Biden a couple of weeks ago, from Ben Wallace earlier this week, and of course Lord Cameron in a joint letter with Germany. They're all now calling for you know, somewhat of a ceasefire. So all eyes on that. But Christine, Neil Hamilton, thank you so much. Have a drink for me, if you will, and wishing you a very Merry Christmas this year and a Happy New Year.
And
a Happy New Year. You're doing a great job, Ben. More strength to you.
Thank you. You're very kind.